Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk, where we dive into the world of innovations and technologies that are shaping our lives. Today, we're exploring something relatively niche but incredibly exciting: the concept of pubsub libraries in JavaScript. Now, before you click away, let's break it down. Imagine you're at a party, and there's one person in charge of sharing all the gossip. Whenever there's a juicy update, they shout it out for everyone to hear. In the programming world, this is what we call a pubsub pattern, short for publish subscribe. It's a way for different parts of a system to communicate without being tightly connected. So, let's talk about one of the tiniest libraries out there, pico-pubsub. Clocking in at just 149 bytes, it's essentially the lightweight champion of pubsub libraries. Now, if you're wondering, what does that even mean? It means it's smaller than the competition, which is a commendable feat considering many libraries can bloat quite easily. To give you an idea, we have libraries like nano-pubsub and tiny-pubsub that come in at 194 bytes and 401 bytes respectively. You might be thinking, isn't that a trivial difference? But in the world of web development, especially with tools like JS13K games, every byte counts. Imagine trying to keep a game's size under 13 kilobytes. Each byte saved means more room for creativity and functionality. So, how does pico-pubsub actually work? It's pretty straightforward. Think of it as the event organizer at our party. You can subscribe to certain events, let's say when someone jumps at the party, and then it handles all the notifications for you. If you've tried coding with event handlers, you know it can sometimes be a headache. But with pico-pubsub, you can easily publish your events and subscribe to them without a convoluted setup. Speaking of subscriptions, let's consider what happens when you decide you don't want to hear about jumping anymore. Well, with a simple unsubscribe method, you can opt out, and just like that, you're free from hearing about everyone's leaps and bounds. And while pico-pubsub is impressively tiny, it does raise some questions worth pondering during our conversation. For instance, if a pubsub library is so minimalistic, can it serve larger applications effectively, or is it better suited for smaller, focused projects? And for those of you who might be coding adventurers yourselves, have you ever had to trim down your code? What are some of your techniques for optimizing code size? It's a challenge that many developers face, and I'd love to hear your hacks. Before we wrap things up, let's recap what we've chatted about today. We explored the tiny yet powerful pico-pubsub library and its place in the broader universe of pubsub libraries. We discussed why code size matters and how keeping things lean can impact performance and user experience. As we close, I encourage all of you to think about your own coding practices. Is there a project that could benefit from a bite-sized library like pico-pubsub? Or perhaps there's a clever trick you've learned about minimizing code that you're dying to share. Thanks for tuning in today, and keep those coding minds sharp. Until next time, this is Tech Talk, signing off.